The voting has concluded and the results are in for week 6 of the Phoenix Festival tournament. This one was such a roller coaster to watch as the results were coming in throughout the week, with half of the matches shifting back and forth between who would end up winning, ending up with some very close results in this round. Thank you once again to everyone who voted, and we will get into the results with match 1, James Ironwood versus Winter Schnee, another battle of the Atlas military. Two highly experienced opponents. We saw a match between them in Volume 8, and with the different environment, with the biomes in play, and not having previous damage sustained before going into this battle, as well as emotions not being as high, this time the result was a bit different. Winter Schnee defeats James Ironwood, thanks to the versatility that she has, being able to use the biomes to her advantage, the desert, the ocean, whatever dust she would have, plus being able to have more open space to utilize her glyphs, her summons, and in particular her time dilation, that we saw how effective it was in Volume 8 against Ironwood. All of these factors would also help Ironwood to a degree, giving him more room to maneuver around with his dual pistols, and he does have that cannon to his advantage, but with them not being on a pretty linear platform as it was in the vault, the cannon wouldn't be as effective against Winter. So Winter would come out the victor in this match, though the voting was extremely close, with Winter winning by only a single vote. In our second match, we had Neapolitan versus Pyrrha Nikos, two of the more untouchable characters in the RWBY series, both extremely skilled, but with fairly opposite fighting styles. Neo using her skill to manipulate her opponent's momentum, use it to her advantage, whereas Pyrrha uses her skill to overwhelm the opponents. Though both are fairly tricky with their fighting styles, Pyrrha trying to hide her own semblance and use it to manipulate opponents, making herself seem untouchable, whereas Neo just uses her semblance to pretty much seem untouchable with her illusions as well. So this one would be an extremely fun fight to watch in the series itself. Unfortunately not possible, but in this tournament scenario we do get to see it play out in our minds, and the victor of this match ended up being Neapolitan, in large part due to her not having much metal on her body. Pyrrha cannot actually sense metal with her semblance, only manipulate it, and Neo doesn't really have that much metal to manipulate. So Pyrrha could manipulate the blade within her hush, but that's pretty much it. Neo, being as nimble as she is, wouldn't really have much damage dealt to her by that, and also using her illusions would be something that would trip Pyrrha up. So with this, Neo would have a number of different advantages. Pyrrha is extremely skilled to be able to adapt to Neo's illusions, but Neo would be able to pick away at Pyrrha's aura using her illusions and her hush, and ultimately would end up winning this fight. A lot of people were pointing out that Pyrrha could manipulate her own weapons to maneuver them around the battlefield and shatter Neo's illusions when they came up, but she would be also doing this blindly. It would be draining her aura, as Neo's semblance would also be draining hers, and Neo would have the advantage being hidden behind those illusions. So ultimately, even though this match would be very close, Neo would come out the victor. Moving on to our third match of this round, and our third consecutive match of the members of Team RWBY, this time Weiss versus Yang, the most versatile of the team versus the physically strongest. It was an extremely close fight, flipping back and forth between who would end up winning, Weiss and her glyphs with the dust using it to her advantage, or Yang with her strength and her burn able to overwhelm Weiss to finish the battle. And ultimately, it was Yang that came out the victor, thus making it so that Yang has literally knocked her entire team out of this tournament. But as a lot of people were pointing out, there was a reason that Yang was selected to move to the 1v1 matches in the Vital Festival tournament of Volume 3. She is the physically strongest, and her semblance is the perfect finisher for 1v1 matches. As Weiss would whittle down Yang's aura, if Yang was able to get close, activate her burn, she would be able to knock out Weiss in probably a single hit. Weiss is one of the more frail characters of the team, even though her versatility would likely allow her to avoid a lot of Yang's attacks. When those attacks do end up connecting, they would do a lot of damage, and because of all of those factors, Yang would narrowly take the win over Weiss. But now, moving on to our fourth and final match of the singles category this week, we had Mercury Black versus Cinder Fall, another extremely close match that was wavering back and forth between who would end up winning. Mercury, the trained assassin, and Cinder, the trained huntress turned inner circle member of Team Salem. And this fight would be a close one. Both of them have excellent close-range capabilities and pretty good long-range capabilities. Mercury with his Teleria and the dust bullets that he has in his legs, as well as Cinder and her Midnight, along with her Scorching Caress. This fight would be incredible and something that we may see in the RWBY series, though with Cinder and her fighting style, in the series at least, focusing more on her maiden powers, it wouldn't turn out exactly like this one. Regardless of that though, in this match, it was Cinder that came out the victor. A lot of people saying that if it was close combat, Cinder would be able to match Mercury, being able to go blow for blow, but in long-range combat, Cinder would actually have a bit of the advantage. When Mercury creates his dust bullet tornado that he rained down on Yang in Volume 3, he largely has to stay in place doing so. And with Cinder and her Midnight, with the arrows superheated with her Scorching Caress, well, Mercury's kind of a sitting duck at that point. Cinder would be able to disrupt his actions and deal damage while doing so. The biomes would work in Mercury's advantage, being able to give him some cover, but it would also do the same for Cinder. The urban and forest, a lot of cover between both of those, but with Cinder's skill as well as her cunning, even though Mercury is pretty much equal in both of those categories, she would end up winning this match by a slight margin. And then we get to the matches of the doubles category. The semi-finals have been decided. In our first match, seeing Glinda and Winter versus Ironwood and Clover. Certainly a lot of highly skilled and elite characters in this match. The team cohesion on Ironwood and Clover's side cannot be ignored, as these two have been fighting alongside one another for a very long time. But with Glinda and Winter, there is a lot of versatility with their respective semblances, and they have a ton of experience in their own right. Ultimately, it was Glinda and Winter that was able to overwhelm Ironwood and Clover. With Glinda fighting in the forest and mountain biome, she would have a lot of ammunition for her semblance. Winter, with her glyphs and dust, as well as the time dilation, she would be able to get in close, most likely, to Ironwood or Clover, be able to deal enough damage against them. People were also pointing out that in melee combat, Winter does have the better weapon, having blades, whereas Clover's weapon, not really meant to deal that much damage close up, and Ironwood, he does have long-range capabilities with his due process, but close range, even though he does hit like a truck, Winter with her time dilation could mitigate that and turn it to her advantage, being able to deal a lot of damage. But this fight wouldn't be easy for them to win by any means. Ironwood knows both Winter and Glinda's fighting styles very well. With the team cohesion that he and Clover would have, it would be an incredible match. But ultimately, it was Glinda and Winter that took the win. And now getting to the final match of Week 6, Maria and Weiss versus Raven and Jean. A lot of people agreed that this would come down to Maria versus Raven and Weiss versus Jean, how each of them would match up against one another. Most people agreeing that Maria and Raven are probably on equal footing, so it would be decided by how well Jean would be able to support Raven and Weiss would be able to support Maria. And in that category, it was Weiss and Maria that came out the victors. Jean does have a lot of strategy, as well as Raven, being able to support Raven, boosting her aura, making her stronger in combat potentially, as well as being able to use his shield, the gravity dust, as well as the hard light dust, and the hard light dust shields that he was able to throw in Volume 8. A lot of different things that he could use to his advantage and support Raven in battle, but Weiss just has more. With her glyphs, with her dust, with her summons, as well as Maria and her preflexes being able to react to Weiss's glyphs and be able to anticipate where her momentum's going to go a little bit better than others may be able to do, Maria and Weiss would be able to overwhelm Jean and Raven. Though there are definitely a couple scenarios where Raven and Jean could win, because Raven does have equal skill to Maria, as far as we are able to tell, and Raven does have a lot of dust capabilities at her disposal, so technically she is quite a bit more versatile than Maria, but Maria with her preflexes is a very tough opponent to deal with. Raven's capabilities, though, we haven't actually seen to their full extent. The only time we've really seen her fight is at the end of Volume 5 when she took on Cinder, and there was a lot of maiden powers going on in that battle. So Raven fighting without her maiden powers, using her dust blades to her advantage, as well as being supported by Jean, would be extremely tough opponents. But Weiss and Maria would just have a bit better team cohesion, with Weiss backing up Maria, and thus that would give them the win, making it so that the finals for the double category is going to see sister versus sister, Winter versus Weiss. In other words, Glinda and Winter versus Maria and Weiss, whereas Ironwood and Clover versus Raven and Jean will be the bronze medal match. So there's there's some difficult decisions going to have to be made for the matches that are coming up tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What was the most surprising outcome of this week's matches? What was your favorite match of this week? And what ones are you looking forward to the most in next week? Hopefully you guys are still enjoying the Phoenix Festival Tournament. If this is your first time tuning in and you want to keep up with everything going on the channel, and as well as the other videos that are yet to come, make sure to subscribe and join the Guild of the Eternal Flame. Tweet me at PhoenixKnight7, and I will see you guys in the next video.